Hello, this is Pearl, and today I'm going to read Little Pilgrim's Progress, Chapter 19, An Enemy. Watchful was standing at the door of the lodge when little Christian came out of the palace. When he was opening the gates, he told Christian that another boy Pilgrim had passed by. "I asked him his name," said the porter, "and he told me it was Faithful." "Oh," cried little Christian, "I know him very well. His house was quite near to ours. How long has he been gone? Do you think I can overtake him?" "It is about half an hour since I saw him," replied Watchful. "I should think by this time he will be at the bottom of the hill." Christian was so pleased at the thought of having a companion that he determined to walk as quickly as possible in order to overtake Faithful. But first he must say goodbye to his kind friends, who had all come down to the gates with him. "It is a beautiful morning," said Discretion. "Suppose we go to the foot of the hill with little Christian." "That would be very nice," said Charity, "and perhaps we may find Faithful there. I wonder why he did not come in to see us." "It is early," said Discretion, "and no doubt he wished to hasten on his journey. I told you that the Palace Beautiful was built at the top of the Hill of Difficulty. The valley below was called the Valley of Humiliation, and the path that led down into it from the gates of the palace was very steep indeed." Christian was glad when Discretion took his hand and held it tightly in her own, for he could scarcely keep from slipping. "I think it is difficult to get up this hill, and dangerous to go down," he said. "Yes," replied Prudence, "some people sometimes have bad falls upon this path." It was not long before they found themselves in the valley, and then Discretion gave Christian a little package of food, which she had brought with her. "We have been very glad to see you," she said, "and I shall not forget to give your message to your father when he comes to the palace." Little Christian was quite sorry to say goodbye, and when Discretion and her daughters had left him, he felt very lonely indeed. The valley was quiet and cool, and he walked on quickly, hoping soon to see Faithful in the distance before them. But instead of Faithful, he presently saw a very evil-looking man coming along the path to meet him. The man was tall and strong, and his face was not a pleasant one. As he drew near, Christian remembered his name, for he had seen him before. He was one of the chief officers in the army of the wicked prince, and he was called Self. "He is one of the king's enemies," thought Christian, "and he will try to hurt me. What shall I do?" At first he thought he would turn around and run toward the foot of the hill. Discretion might look back and see him, or perhaps Watchful might be at the palace gates and would send someone to help him. But then he remembered that he had no armor for his back, and that his breastplate and shield would be of no use to him unless he faced his enemy. So he determined to trust in the king and go straight on. Perhaps, as he was such a little boy, Self would pass by without taking any notice of him. He walked on steadily, and in a few minutes Self was quite close to him. "I should like to know where you have come from," he said, stopping in front of Christian and looking down at his bright armor. Christian felt very much frightened, but he answered, "From the City of Destruction." "And where are you going?" "To the city of the king." "Perhaps you have forgotten," said Self, "that the City of Destruction belongs to me. If you were not a little boy who can be taken back again, I should kill you for running away without my leave." "I know the city belongs to you," replied Christian, "but the king loves me better than you do, and I would rather live with him." Then Self smiled. "Don't be foolish," he said. "I can be very kind to people when I like them, and if you will come back with me and promise not to run away again, I will not be angry with you. You shall live in my house and be one of my own servants." "I am one of the king's servants," said Christian. "That does not matter. The king's servants often run away from him. Besides, you were my servant when you were at home, and you ought to be very glad that I am willing to forgive you and take you back again." Poor little Christian felt that tears were coming into his eyes, and his lips were beginning to tremble, but he answered, I love the king, and I would rather be his servant. Please let me go on." But Self had made up his mind that Christian should go home with him. So he said, "Don't be in a hurry. Just think of all the trouble you may meet with on the way. Our soldiers are up and down everywhere, and if they see you and try to hurt you, I don't suppose the king will take the trouble to help a child. You know you have served him very badly since you set out. You were so careless that you fell into the slough, and you will let worldly deceive you and turn you out of the right path. Then you slept in the arbor and lost your roll, and when you came in sight of the lions, you were very nearly turning back for fear of them. And yet at the Palace Beautiful, you talked as if you were one of the king's most faithful servants. I don't know how you can expect him to do anything for you." Little Christian knew that all these things were true, and he wondered how Self had heard about them. "I have been very sorry," he said, "and the king will forgive me. He knows I am only a little boy." Then Self could not keep back his anger any longer. He had been speaking gently because he wished Christian to forsake the king of his own accord, but when he saw that his words were of no use, he became fierce with passion. "I hate your king," he cried, "and everybody and everything belonging to him. You are my servant, and you shall never go to the celestial city, for I will kill you."